Hey everybody, Vivian here today to share with you a couple of projects I recently made using Coordinations Color Core cardstock. I don't know if you guys remember this Halloween project. I have a video tutorial on it on my station, Contadina K, but it uses the Color Core cardstock from Coordinations with dry embossing and various media to create this spooky heebie-jeebie effect. And here I have a card that I recently made using Coordinations Color Core cardstock with a Sizzix dry embossing folder and some media to distress the edges. And here's another one that I used with Color Core cardstock from Coordinations to create a really rustic effect just by dry embossing and brushing some gelatos on top. So let's begin with the tutorial. Today I'm going to share with you a collaged art journaling project. For my very textured background, I did some really fun stuff that I've been playing around with a lot recently, crushing up my papers and misting primarily to get the colors to really sink into all layers of the Color Core cardstock. And then really, when applying them to the art journaling page, roughing them up quite a bit with repeated doses of sanding and the integration of a couple of different types of media that made for a really fun project. So first step in creating this art journaling page, I took a few sheets from this neutrals stack, this dark brown and gray, and I also chose a white sheet to add some light into the project, which I did off camera. And you just want to crush up each piece that you use really, really well and get some really deep crevices in there. For the dark brown piece, I used a deep blue smooch spritz and sort of propped it up like that so that the mist could really settle into all those crevices. And then I just used the gray piece to wipe up all the excess. It ends up creating a real integrated composition when you blend the colors this way. And I do a really heavy dose, and you can dilute that a little bit with some water. I try to get all the mist into those deep crevices and then prop it up using whatever you've got around to make sure that it keeps its form and there's a real intense concentration of mist in the crevices that you've created from all that wrinkling. Once it's dry, it's quite beautiful, just like it is. I could see using that on a number of different projects. And this is what that dark brown piece looks like. And it's also really cool how the fine mica, or whatever glittery, shimmery stuff that is, settles also in those crevices. That was a white piece that I did using a yellow mist in addition to a blue mist from Clear Snap. And then Coordinations has these sanding blocks that you can use to distress their papers. I went in to sand these pieces because I really like to heavily distress my projects, and this just adds an extra punch of distress. And they also produce this sort of sticky gauze. It's not sticky, but it does grab onto the little pieces of paper, the fine pieces of paper that come off when you sand your Color Core cardstock. At this point, without doing any collage, I could totally see using this piece of paper with, say, like a tattered floral sky to make some really funkadelic blooms. I wanted to show you quickly how the dark brown piece turned out. Very dramatic. And I just love, love, love how these mists concentrate, the pigment concentrates in the wrinkles. And then when you sand, you have such a neat transition between Color Core and mist. Sort of a gradient that happens all along the ridges that you've created from your wrinkling. So this is my art journal. I've got several pages done in it. I've been doing a lot of work in the garden, and it's been very inspiring and meditative. And so I thought I'd do another page that's inspired by the whole process of seed starting and all the wonderful, important, multitudinous orchestrations that have to take place in order for life to begin. I've been collaging quite a bit lately, lots of ripped up pieces and random die cut shapes, and adhering them to the page in sort of a random fashion and seeing what kind of patterns result. It's a really liberating way of working, and I don't see it ending anytime soon. I've got some book pages to add in some cool text, just old book pages. And now I'm laying down the pieces that I've altered, the pieces of the Coordinations color core cardstock. And I've ripped them up, and where I've ripped them, there are also some really interesting transitions between the different layers of the color core cardstock. And once you've got all of that down, oh, and just in case you didn't know, I'm adhering them using, you can use a number of different things. You can use Mod Podge, you can use matte medium. I'm using an Ink Essentials Glue and Seal from Ranger, and I've really been enjoying using that one to get all of these pieces down, as you can see here. So you're going to want to wait for that to dry, so that now's the time to go and get a bite to eat or get yourself a cup of joe. You can speed up this drying process using a heat tool. I very liberally applied the glue and seal just to get a really good bind between the papers and my art journal page. And it was actually really enjoyable to go over all of the little bumps and wrinkles with my bare fingers and really rub those pieces of paper into the art journaling page. So now it's all dry. We're going to do a couple of things to unify the composition and all these various pieces. One thing I've liked to do a lot as of late is to sand. Periodically throughout the construction of the project, sand all of the pieces that are adhered to the paper once things have dried after having been adhered, and also after the application of mist. So here I'm misting all over. You can mist to your heart's desire. And once that's all dry, you can do some dripping, some drizzling, and wipe up all that excess with another piece. That piece could make a very interesting piece of a project later, so don't want to waste anything. Mist to your heart's desire. You could, once that's dry, go over it with a sanding tool again if you wanted, and it would reveal, again, some really interesting variations in the mists and your paper. I wanted a little bit more opacity on top of the areas with the text, so I'm using a gelato in butterscotch here to cover up some of those areas. You can use the gelatos dry for that really rustic effect, rough and rustic. Here I misted the gelato after I put it on the page and rubbed it in with my finger. That's been my preferred way of using them lately. The really cool thing that happens there is the chunks of pigment, that sort of chapsticky pigment, sort of are guided by your fingers into the crevices created by the different levels of papers on your collage. I went in also with some markers in some really vibrant colors to create a glowing feeling behind those highly pigmented color core papers that I have adhered on top of my art journaling page. So I've got like a yellow and a deep orange red. Now I'm going to use these scraps of color core cardstock that I used in my project, including the light colored one to paper punch some buds. This is actually an ornament punch. And I don't know if any of you guys, what stage you're in your crafting experience, in your crafting life, but I know in the beginning, I got punches that I used once or twice and have never used again. Not versatile, so like elephant punches. But this one, even though it's a holiday punch, I think it's really great because it's a basic shape and it could be re-envisioned as many other things. I immediately picked up this one because I thought it was a perfect bud shape. And it very much reminded me of the way the seedlings look just as they pop out of their seed casings. It's such an interesting business, this business of seed starting. Certain seeds need to be started in dark. They need to be covered. Certain seeds need to be completely exposed and have clear view of the sun. Some seeds have a shelf life of years, whereas others need to be used right away, and still others need a really cold winter chill to be happy. So I'm learning so much. I'm having so much fun. I'll share with you guys soon some video of the garden and its very initial state here. So I'm using a distress marker to create some shadows here to help bring out my buds just a little bit more. Here I'm adding my journaling, and I used a Pitt artist pen from Faber-Castell Design Memory Craft just because I wanted, I love these pens, but I also wanted to have that permanence, especially with my journaling. And I really like using the brush nib when I've got a real varied surface like that. And my journaling says, countless precious orchestrations to manifest new life. There's so much that needs to happen for a seed to become a flowering plant and to grow and mature. And even then, once you've got it growing and you've nurtured it and it's in the garden, some slug can come by and just hack it off at the root. So there's a lot of acceptance of the loss of life that you've nurtured into being. Anyway, so here's my page. One thing that you didn't see was the addition of black soot distress ink all along the edges. And I'm going to show you some stills of the art journaling page in just a second. Here's a detail of the buds and the real layered, colorful, natural look created from wrinkling, sanding, misting, and letting those mists settle in the crevices. Sanding again, lots of sanding. And here's a detail of another area of the art journaling page where you can make those ridges all along your project darker or a different color. Here I added distress ink on the top. And here's my little papusa. She wanted to say hi too. I was trying to photograph the project, and every time I get down on the floor, somehow, wherever my dogs are, they know I'm on the floor, and they want attention, and they want to play. Anyway, she wanted to say hi. Thanks so much for watching, and if you haven't gotten enough inspiration, please subscribe to my channel. It's Contadina K on YouTube, and my blog is contadinak.com. Thanks so much, and see you next time. Bye.